Welcome to Books Made Fun, where we've learned English in creative ways with the help of stories.
It's pretty amazing how a few simple words can build this incredible fortress of trust, and then, just as easily, become the very weapon that brings it all crashing down. Today, that's what we're digging into. We're going to unpack the language of a timeless fable about betrayal and see just how powerful words can be.
So the whole story really boils down to this one powerful idea. Language is a total double-edged sword. On one hand, it can offer you safety, a real sanctuary, which is exactly what happens for a lost camel who's saved by this compassionate lion king. But, as you're about to see, those exact same tools, those words, can get twisted into the sharpest weapon imaginable, setting a trap that's absolutely devastating.
Meet Shankar. He is a camel who was accidentally separated from his caravan. Left behind in a dense, unfamiliar forest, he is exhausted and looks truly pitiful. Without food or water for days, he is stumbling aimlessly, on the verge of collapse. Physical isolation in a hostile environment creates an immediate, dangerous vulnerability. Without the group, survival becomes a matter of pure luck. That luck arrives when the king of the forest finds him. Instead of attacking, the lion guarantees Shankar's safety. Hearing this, the camel feels instantly relieved. The promise of protection lifts a heavy burden from his mind. But the lion has an inner circle, a wolf, a fox, and a tiger. These predators are conditioned to look out for their own benefit above all else. While they remain quiet in front of the king, they burn with jealousy in the shadows. They begin to whisper among themselves, questioning why this outsider deserves the king's favor. The sudden arrival of a new favorite has placed the old inner circle on edge. Within the court, the protection of a stranger has created a new, silent friction. This tension breaks when the lion is severely injured during a hunt. Unable to kill prey, the king begins to starve, and the situation in the court becomes critical. The fox sees a way to solve the group's hunger while appearing loyal to the king. He suggests they trick the camel into offering his own life, allowing them to kill two birds with one stone. He begins to set the stage for a public display of sacrifice. The wolf and tiger agree to the plan. Together, they prepare to execute this deceitful arrangement. By framing the solution as an act of loyalty, the companions turn a shared disaster into a method for removing a rival. The companions approach the injured lion one by one. Each one begs the king to eat them, knowing the lion will refuse. It is a calculated performance of duty. Shankar watches this and is moved by what he sees. Feeling grateful for the lion's earlier protection, he doesn't hold back. He steps forward and offers his own life to save the king. The predators don't give the king a chance to speak. They seize the opportunity immediately, attacking the camel before he can change his mind. Weakened by hunger, the lion eventually gives in and joins the meal. The fox has successfully pulled the strings, getting exactly what he wanted without appearing to be the villain. The camel's mistake was failing to see the motives behind the companion's words. Blind trust in the wrong company can have fatal consequences. Describing these complex social dynamics requires specific grammatical tools. Let's look at the vocabulary from the story. Words shift forms. Generosity, or udarta, is a noun for the quality, while generous is the adjective. Phrasal verbs shift across time. Give in is present, but in the past it becomes he gave in.
Okay, so the very first words we get are exhausted and pitiful. Exhausted really paints a picture of being completely wiped out, not just tired, but like there's nothing left in the tank. And pitiful, well, that word immediately makes you feel for the guy. It's telling you he deserves your sympathy. These words aren't just descriptions, they're there to show us just how vulnerable he is from the get-go.
And to really hammer home just how bad things were, the story uses this phrase, on the verge of collapse. Now, this isn't just about being tired. This is being literally moments away from everything falling apart. It just creates this huge sense of tension. Our camel was on the verge of collapse, just barely hanging on when he was found.
And then boom, the lion shows up and the entire emotional vibe just flips. We go from all that language of despair we just talked about to the language of hope and rescue. It's a complete 180. So what was behind this massive shift?
Well, it all comes down to the lion's character, which is defined by these two key words, compassion and generosity. He wasn't just being nice, he was truly compassionate. He felt for the camel's situation. And his generous spirit, his willingness to give protection without asking for a single thing in return, that's what makes him a real king, not just another predator.
And how does this amazing act of kindness affect the camel? Well, he feels relieved and grateful. And think about that feeling of relief for a second. It's not just about being safe. It's like a massive weight of worry has been lifted off your shoulders. And his gratitude? That's not just a quick thank you. It's this deep feeling of thankfulness that becomes the foundation of his trust. He finally believes he's safe.
And this phrase perfectly sums up that feeling of safety, to lift a burden. It's such a great metaphor for getting rid of stress and worry. For the camel, the lion's kindness completely lifted his burden of fear and exhaustion. It gave him a whole new lease on life. Or, so he thought.
But you see, this newfound safety is actually super fragile, because not everyone in the king's court was thrilled about the new guy. In this next part, we're going to see how the seeds of betrayal get planted, not with swords and shields, but with dark, ugly emotions. So, meet the king's crew, a tiger, a wolf, and a fox, and pay attention to how they're described. The tiger and wolf are all about raw power, but the fox, he's defined by his cunning mind. These traits are going to drive the whole conspiracy. The word they chose for both the tiger and the wolf is fierce. Now, this isn't just about being strong, it's got this aggressive, almost violent edge to it. Their fierceness is what makes them so different from the lion's noble compassion. It tells you right away that their nature is all about instinct and hunting, which is a huge red flag for the danger ahead. And right here is where we see a toxic feeling turn into a dangerous plan. First, they burn with jealousy. What a powerful phrase, right? It suggests an envy so hot it's like a fire eating them up from the inside. And that internal fire leads to an external action. They whisper among themselves. This is the exact moment a bad feeling becomes a full-blown conspiracy.
Every good plot needs an opportunity, right? Well, that moment comes when the lion gets injured and the food situation becomes critical. As an adjective, it means really serious or dangerous. You can see it's closely related to the noun crisis. And this crisis is the perfect trigger that jealous companions were waiting for.
So who steps up to take advantage of this crisis? Of course, it's the fox. This whole section is about his incredible and deadly use of language to set up the camel's downfall. These two words just perfectly capture the fox's whole deal: manipulative and deceitful. To be manipulative is to cleverly control other people, almost like you're a puppet master. And a deceitful plan, well, that's just built on a pile of lies. These aren't just descriptions of the fox, they're the actual tools he uses to get what he wants.
So, how does this whole deceitful plan actually work? Well, it's a series of brilliantly calculated traps, all made of words. First, the fox sets the stage by putting on a big show of loyalty. Then, he just waits to seize the opportunity that he knows the camel's innocence will create. And the end goal? To kill two birds with one stone. It is a true masterclass in how to betray someone.
Let's start with the fox's main goal, which is perfectly summed up by this idiom: to kill two birds with one stone. It means you achieve two different things with just a single action. The first bird here is feeding the starving court. The second, and much darker bird, is getting rid of the camel, the source of all their jealousy. One move, two devious results.
But to get there, the fox first had to set the stage. This idiom is all about preparing the perfect conditions for your plan to work, and he does it by literally staging a play, a performance of fake loyalty, where he, the wolf, and the tiger all offer up their own lives. This has nothing to do with honor. It's all about creating an illusion to trick the camel into thinking self-sacrifice is the only noble choice.
The stage is set. The trap is laid. The innocent camel is right where they want him. Now we get to the tragic ending, and the final words that seal his fate in this terrible act of deception.
And here you see this fatal contrast in action. The noble camel, completely fooled by the show, decides he can't hold back his own offer. The phrase suggests this sense of duty, like he feels he has to speak up. And the very second he does, the predators seize the opportunity. They don't wait, they don't hesitate, they grab the chance the fox so carefully created for them.
But wait, what about the lion, the symbol of protection and honor? Well, even he has a breaking point. The story tells us he gave in. This phrasal verb is so important. It means to surrender, to just stop fighting. For the king, this is a complete collapse of his values.
Faced with starvation, his noble promise breaks. By surrendering to his own hunger, he betrays everything and seals the camel's fate.
So when all the dust settles, who was really in control here? This final idiom, to pull the strings, tells us the whole truth. It means you're secretly controlling everything, just like a puppeteer. The lion might have worn the crown, but his companions were never just followers. They were the ones in the shadows, pulling all the strings the entire time.
And this image just captures the heartbreaking reality of that phrase, doesn't it? The camel thought he was making this noble, independent choice. But the truth is, he was never free. He was just a puppet on a stage. And every word he said, every move he made, was being controlled by the unseen hands of the people who tricked him.
Recognizing these mechanical shifts allows you to use these emotional words accurately in any context. Let's apply this. Imagine a coworker is taking credit for your ideas and secretly influencing your manager to get a promotion you earned. Go to the comments and write a paragraph explaining how you would handle this situation. Use at least 3 idioms from the story, like pull the strings, set the stage, or kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll be checking the comments to see how you use these phrases. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for our next deep dive. Applying these terms to your own experiences is how they become permanent parts of your vocabulary. See you in the next lesson.